Welcome to this edition of SAU Report. I'm Josie Lindgrin.
And I'm Todd Flanagan.
And today we have joining us is Graduate Assistant Lindsey Kight. What brought you to SAU?
I'm a graduate student, and I'm a graduate assistant in softball. I'd graduated from UAM, Arkansas Monticello, and I'd played softball there, and I'd graduated in May and didn't really know what I was going to do after I graduated. And then about July, I decided that I was going to come here, be a GA.
Well, what made you decide that you wanted to get your degree in criminal justice?
Actually, that's kind of interesting. I thought I could leave ball, and after I changed my major several times, not really knowing what I wanted to do, and I'm not really book smart, so that was the only thing that really interested me. So.
Okay.
When did you decide that you wanted to be a coach?
I guess you could say that I found that out after I got done playing. My dad always said that he knew that's what I needed to go into, but it never dawned on me until after I got done playing. And then I got to missing it way too much and knew I had to stay in the game somehow.
Well, do you find it difficult to be a coach now than instead of a player?
Definitely. It's a big transition because playing is unbelievable, and once you're off the field and out of uniform, it's so hard. And then to see other people your age still on the field and still in uniform, it's definitely hard.
So how has softball influenced your life?
It's taken me to different places, different avenues that I ordinarily wouldn't be in. Being that I'm not book smart, I would not have gone to college had it not been for softball. So I would probably be working at some fast food place. But it's taught me a lot of stuff. It's brought me and my dad closer together. Positive impact on my life.
So when you were growing up, was your dad like one of the main influences on you to play? Or was he like your main influence as far as playing softball? Was he there by your side, saying, keep up the good work, or,
Oh, definitely.
Really?
I'd started pitching, and I'd gone to a pitching coach just starting out when I was, around 8 or 9. And I'd worked during the off season for a couple months, and me and a couple other girls, and the coach just came up to my dad after it was over with, after a couple months, and said, I just don't know if she's got what it takes. And so after that, my dad was like, well, that's okay, we'll find other avenues. I'll learn as much as I can about it. And so definitely he pushed me all the way.
Wow. That's terrible about that. The pitching coach, though. You wouldn't expect a coach to say that about somebody.
But I bet, sometimes like negative criticism is good criticism, because I'm sure it forced you to want to pitch even more. I know that for me, and what I want to do, sometimes I get negative criticism, and that makes me just want to do it all the more, So I guess that makes it more special in the end, too. So I guess that's kind of good in a,
Oh yeah, it's definitely all in how you take it. Negative criticism can be taken in two ways. Either you can hang your head and mope and cry about it, or you can have the fire under you and prove them wrong.
So did anyone else influence you, or besides your dad, like any player, any pitcher, or just anyone else?
I really enjoy watching, when I was younger, I enjoyed watching Michelle Smith. I really enjoy her, and then now that I'm older, I enjoy watching Kat Osterman. I tried to mimic some of my starting motions and my playing style to her. So.
What made you, when growing up, what made you want to be a pitcher? Like, what was that moment where you're like, that is what I want to do?
Well, I was at the ballpark with my dad and watching the big girls play, the 16 to 17-year-olds. They look so much older when you're 8 and 9. And I knew that I didn't want to just play any position because I was not athletic. And so I knew I either wanted to be a pitcher or a catcher. And I just wasn't physically tough enough to be a catcher. And I loved how the pitcher controlled the game. Everything went on the pitcher. So I enjoyed that.
For all the girls who are wanting to become a pitcher, would you recommend to have personal instruction or to read or watch videotapes? What would you recommend? Like, would you recommend their coach being there by their side or them figuring it out themselves, like on their own?
Well, it just depends. I think both can be very good. I don't think you should try to teach yourself how to pitch without someone there, just in case you have questions that can't be addressed in the book or in the video. And then also, it's also good to see somebody else doing it. But at the same time, you need to make sure of whoever you go to that they do know what they're talking about and that they are knowledgeable of the game and of the skill. So.
Do you instruct pitching? And as far as like outside of SAU with other girls in the community?
Yeah, I definitely, that's one thing that I love to do because it gives me different perspectives on how to teach it. Just to listen to their ideas about different ways to teach it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So it's
Do you find that you learn something from them, that you see things like, oh, maybe I need to do that myself, or maybe I should have done this when instructing them? I know from seeing another pitcher.
There's like
Kinda
a
gives
light,
you that light.
there's like a
Kinda
light
gives you
bulb
like an
pop in your
insight
head when you're teaching them, like, oh, that's I learned something, and I was just
Oh, definitely. I think the main thing that I get out of it is I get to different insight on how to help different people because everybody's a different kind of learner. So with each person, it helps me to learn how to deal with that kind of person. So later on down the road, I can say, oh, I helped somebody like you a couple years back. I know how to help you now.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
What aspect of pitching do you think is most important? Do you think there's the mental aspects the most important, or should you be like fundamentally sound, and is that all you can really rely on is being in great pitching shape?
I think they both have their importance. Definitely. It doesn't matter if you have the mental capabilities. If you're not fundamentally sound, then it doesn't matter. You know, as far as that goes, you're not going to be a very successful pitcher. But at the same time, you know, mental aspect is 100% pitching. You know, if you're a basket case out there mentally, then you're not going to succeed no matter how much potential you have physically. So I've seen a lot of pitchers psych themselves out mentally, and then I've seen a lot of pitchers that don't really have, that shouldn't have won that game, that did because they just dominated because they thought they could. So.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to girls who are wanting to play softball at the collegiate level and the current college players? What advice would you give them?
Well, for the players that would like to be a college pitcher, I would definitely say to never give up, to keep trying, to keep working hard, and just stay focused on your goal, stay focused on your dream. And one day it will come true in some way, shape, form, or fashion. It will happen. And for the current players, I would definitely suggest not to take it for granted. That, you know, to work hard every single day you have, just to love it while you can. So.
What do you miss about the game?
The two main things that I miss the most are the competition. I'm a very competitive person. I would definitely try to beat you in anything. Walking down the sidewalk, I'd try to walk faster, eating different stuff. So, but I'm a very competitive person, and I miss the competition. And also, I would have to say the camaraderie between the teammates. I mean, you know how it is.
Yeah.
They are your second family, and it's huge. And you don't realize how much they impact your life until it's gone. So.
Well, as far as like these players who you're coaching now, do you consider the ladies do you consider these ladies here at SAU like part of your family? You're like, where do you draw the line as far as coach /
family?
player goes? You know, do you consider them your second family also?
Yes and no. That's a hard question. Yes, they are my second family because I don't get to go home very often, and they are my sense of support, my sense of release. But at the same time, you can't completely, because what am I to them? I can't be their sister and be their coach, and obviously I'm not old enough to be their mother. So it's a hard line to draw, and sometimes it's a very sketchy line to maintain the good, you know, personality on the field and off the field. You know what's going on in their lives and try to help them out in any way possible, but at the same time not getting too close, too friendly. So it's a hard line.
Well, do you,
If you could go back in time, what would you change? Would you change anything at all with your 4 years playing it?
Definitely. I wouldn't in the aspect that most people would think, you know, when you say, oh, yes, I would. Mainly, it's not, I gave everything I had, every pitch, every practice, everything like that. So it's no regrets as far as that's concerned. But I wish that I would have just enjoyed it more. Like when bases were loaded and full count, I wish I would have just taken a step back off the mound, taken a big deep breath and smiled and just realized how good I had it and just enjoyed it that way. So I definitely wish I would have done that, enjoyed it more.
Yeah, those are the moments that we need to, I know as myself for being a pitcher, that we need to sit back and go, wow, this is my situation that I need to be able to prove myself.
Oh, definitely. I think sometimes we get too worked up about you got to do this and you got to do that. Well, just
I gotta
enjoy
throw
where
this
you
strike.
are.
that you see all the negative things, and that's what you
Yeah.
dwell on, and then there's so many positive things that's happened that you just miss out on. You almost miss the fun of it, even though you enjoy it. So I can see
It
that.
almost becomes too much like a job.
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean, in a good way. I mean, you got to enjoy your job, but at the same time, like you said, you get too worked up on you got to do this and you got to do that and you got to perform to a certain level that you do miss out on the fun aspects of it.
I can see that. Well, do you find it challenging coaching the girls that are just like a few years younger than you? You know, they're like around the same age as you. Do you find it challenging to coach them, you know? Because you know,
Because we
I
are
would
your
want to be,
peers.
you know, their friend, you know, more
Yeah.
than a coach. But
Yeah, that comes back to drawing the line. It's very, very hard to see girls that are your age and, you know, trying to maintain the level of, I am your coach and you are my player, but at the same time, it's all on how you do it. You know, if I can't go out there and joke around with them all the time because then they won't take me seriously because
Right.
I am so young. But at the same time, if I go out there and you got to do this and you got to do that and you're hardcore and yelling, screaming, throwing a fit all in their face, they're not going to listen to what you say anyway. So it's a very hard line since we are so close in age, you know. And especially, I was so nervous about this, coming to SAU from UAM, you know, being the rival school. That was my first thought of, oh, they're not going to like me because of who I was on the field, you know, very stoic player on the field. And I was like, they're not going to give me a chance. They're not going to like me. So, but that wasn't the case at all. Yeah.
Was SAU your first choice to come to GA yet, or?
I guess you could say that. I don't know. I know whenever me and my parents had talked about it, they had mentioned a few other schools that just didn't seem to, like, it didn't interest me that much. And whenever they mentioned SAU, my first reaction was, oh, there's no way. I'm not going to SAU because we were such a big rival and there was that bad blood there. But it gradually grew on me. My mom was like, but you like, you know, Coach Pagani and stuff like that. And I liked her relationship with the players that I had seen in my experience watching them. And
what are some key aspects to pitching that help a fundamentally sound pitcher?
pitching has so many different, I mean, as you know, if you do one thing wrong, it messes everything up. So there's so many minor details that are involved in pitching. But just to hit on some of the major, definitely the arm circle. You've got to have a perfect arm circle or else it's going to go this way or that way. Stepping on the power line, if you step off or across, it's going to mess up. There's a line that goes from your starting foot to the center of the plate that you have to step on, or else it's not going to go where you want it to. And plus, I think too many times pitchers don't pitch with their legs enough. You know, that's the strongest part of the female body, and for some reason, I'm pitching with my arm and not my legs. So I think that is huge.
It's overlooked. It's definitely overlooked.
Well, how old were you when you started pitching? And I also want to touch on this. Do you still find yourself like going outside, like when you're frustrated and just throwing a few balls, you know, I guess, because I know that you have the desire to coach and to be a pitcher and stuff. first question, how old were you? And then I guess we can go from there. We have so much about it.
Okay. Well, when I started, I was almost 9, and I've been pitching ever since. And you're going to have to remind me of the other one.
Okay. And like now, do you find yourself getting lost in like pitching, like when you're maybe have a bad day or something, you know, kind of because I know it's your desire to coach and that's what you enjoy doing.
Oh, definitely. Pitching was definitely my release. Anytime anything went wrong, I went out there and I threw. It was the one place that I could be that everything was right.
Right.
So definitely anytime I have a bad day, I'll just go out there and just start throwing, whether it's against the fence or in the batting cage or by myself or whatever. It's just a way to get away and let loose. So.
Do you ever call into any of our catchers or the SAU catchers to help you get out that release?
Actually, it's funny because the catchers know that. So the first time that one of them did this, it just meant the world to me. But they saw that I was having, a bad day, and they were like, "Okay, I've got my glove. Here's your glove. Let's go throw." And it just meant the world to me because they knew that was my release, and I never told them that before. So it was pretty awesome the first time that happened.
So when you finally finish after getting your master's, would you want to coach high school, or are you wanting to continue to coach at the collegiate level?
I would definitely say the college level. And that's for a couple reasons. The main reason is because of the different types of girls that you have. In the high school level, you kind of have to play the hand you were dealt. Some of the girls don't want to be there. Some of the girls just aren't as dedicated as what the college level is. The college level is more like a job. You have to love it to play at that level, or else you wouldn't be playing. So I would definitely say the college level, just because you take it more serious as a player, or as the most part.
Well, what is like one of your pet peeves as far as coaching goes, like that the students may do that just kind of gets under your skin, but you can help them out, you know?
I would say mainly it would be when they don't put forth the amount of effort that they should. When they halfway do something, or when they don't give 100%. Because the way I look at it is, you're going to be out there anyway. You're going to have to redo it. So just do it right the first time. There's no need in trying to just barely get by. You're supposed to enjoy your days of playing. And also another thing is when someone has tons of potential, just unbelievable amount of potential, which I never had, it just bothers me when they don't put forth that effort. Because it's amazing, do you know how well you could be? Do you know how good you could be? Do you know how well you could perform this task, and yet you don't want to? You know how many girls out there that don't have the ability that you have, that are trying their best, and they just
to get to where they're at.
Yeah.
So
I see that.
Did you ever realize how much goes into coaching since being a player?
No, I had no idea. I thought I knew, but until I got into it, I had no idea of the different stuff that, as a player, it was just always done. I didn't realize, although I should have, but I didn't realize that somebody had taken the time to do that, like the laundry or like the field work, just stuff that was already done.
Yeah.
It's a lot of different aspects that I'm learning so much every day, the financial aspects of it. And so, there's a lot of stuff.
Are you enjoying that new aspects of it?
Yes, definitely. It's a lot to learn, and it can be overwhelming at times, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, I know that you got your degree in criminal justice, and I was wondering if you think you'll ever change your career as far as coaching goes, if you can see yourself going in a different direction later on in life.
Well, that's kind of hard to say. My first thought is no, that coaching is what I will do. But you never know where life's going to take you. You never know what avenues you're going to end up going down. So whatever doors are open, I'll take, but I would prefer to be in coaching.
Wow, that's great.
What is your most and least favorite thing about coaching?
My most favorite thing about coaching is when you're working with a player and you're trying to get your point across and they get it. Like right now, I'm working with some of our girls on a different pitch, and when they start getting it down and you see the light bulb go off and you see them excel, That's really what makes it worthwhile. My least favorite, this is going to sound so bad. I've told some of the girls this, that coaching is my second favorite job. Playing was my first. So I would have to say that right now, since it is so new, it's kind of like a fresh wound still, that the fact that I am coaching and not playing would be the hardest thing about coaching. So
has coaching now given you a different perspective on softball, on the game of softball?
Yes, I'm trying to learn so many different aspects of it. The main part, the only thing that I was really focused on when I was a player was pitching. You know, pitching and reading batters and stuff like that. But now I'm trying to learn the infield, the catching, the outfield, trying to learn all the different aspects of the game. That it's kind of mind-boggling at times, but it's fun learning.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of hard trying to realize that I'm not going to learn everything at the rate that I want to learn it at.
Right.
Has pitching taught you anything that the game didn't?
It has made me into a perfectionist, because I believe pitchers do have to be a perfectionist, because if something doesn't go right, you have to know how to fix it and stuff like that. And at the same time, I think it also taught me how to be stoic, in hard situations, or when you're uptight or nervous or whatever, to maintain the look of calmness about you that can carry over into life. I mean, that's what ball is carrying stuff over into real life. So, but definitely the whole stoic thing.
How do you feel about, a lot of people think of as pitching as being almost like an individual sport in itself of the game of softball, and some people are kind of like, no, it's still a team sport, since pitchers do have to worry about their lowest earned run average and their win and game losses and how they have their own records.
That is so true that I don't think a lot of people really look at is, yes, softball is very much a team sport, but at the same time, pitching is kind of like an individual sport, and the fact of it is you facing the batter. When you open up the newspaper and you see a game or read about a game that happened last night, it shows the two team scores, but it also shows the record of that pitcher, and then it shows how many runs you gave up as a pitcher, and that can be kind of intimidating. Not they don't do that for the first baseman or for the center fielder, so it's definitely kind of individual, but at the same time you are part of the team. So
right.
Well, what are some tips that you can give other coaches or anyone who wants to pursue a career in coaching? We want to hear them.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking I am still really new into this. So there's so many things that I'm still trying to learn. So I would guess that right now it would have to be, don't get frustrated with how much new stuff there is. Because there's so much stuff, even with pitching, that I never knew, that now I'm trying to read the books and learn myself, that it can be kind of frustrating at times. So I would definitely say that.
So what pitches do you throw, just for the viewers out there?
Really, I didn't have a lot of pitches. I threw a fastball, a changeup, and a rise ball, and the rise was my main pitch. But I got by with just those three, which is kind of abnormal for a college pitcher, because usually you have to have more.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today, and that's this edition of the SAU Report.